This is how I changed everything by using curiosity and what I found by doing so. So, when I got to a point where I was ready to really make a difference in my life and make a tangible difference in my life, I started asking questions. And people say approach something with curiosity. And so that's what I started doing. And what I did first was I started asking myself questions, being very curious on what I was experiencing, what I wasn't experiencing, what issues I felt I was dealing with, and I really started asking some some questions that I had to be honest about. Was I putting in the effort? Was I clear on what I found is the problem and what the potential answers could be? And what it what it did is it then generated more questions that I had to even have a higher level of curiosity for. When you ask what I think the problem is, and then I answer it with a half-hearted answer, then what good is it? And so as I dug further and further into the questions and the the questions about what I was feeling, the questions about what I thought was the cause, and getting the answers. I had to be pretty open with myself, and that sounds sort of counterintuitive, but I mean, if you think about it, how honest are you with yourself? How honest are you about your situation and how you feel about something? And when you answer yourself, are you lying to yourself? And by using true curiosity, you can you can find answers that you might not have been expecting. And so, you know, asking yourself truthful, honest kind of questions, and then being truthful and honest with yourself on the answer when nobody else, you may not tell anybody the answer, and you're not answering to anybody. So, if you want to lie to yourself, you can, but if you use true curiosity, you won't do that, and it won't benefit you to do that. So as I what I also found as I started asking those questions, what I did is I found others that were doing different, and then I put myself into a position to be able to ask them honest questions. And so, I've spent the last year and a half, a little longer than that, really engaging in this community that I found, and really engaging in speaking to the other individuals that have joined this community, and really engaged and having conversations with them, and asking questions that you know gave answers that most people were pretty honest about. And that I think that's what happens when you put yourself around people that are like-minded, that are looking to move, you know, to move themselves to, what they would consider as the next level, because everybody's next level is different. So, as I would meet new people, you ask and you get their sort of their backstory, because the backstory gives a good platform for where they're headed, and it gives a good idea of why they might be headed in that direction, or why they found it important to try to start improving themselves. But when when you find that you're in the community and the company of people that are trying to move to the next level, the questions they actually become easier because a lot of times they're expecting, hard questions. They're expecting to get sort of questioned on what they're doing, why they're doing it, what value do they find in it, uh, where do they want to go, and what do they hope the outcome is. And so when you approach people that seem to be a, a, ahead of you, 1 step, 2 steps, 20 steps, 100 steps, it doesn't matter how far they seem to be. Most of those people would gladly or will gladly, provide you with their take on something or how they did it or what was their first step to get there. And that seems to be a very common trend with people that are what I would consider on the move. If you find yourself in a situation where you're starting to ask questions, then finding those people you can be around is important. It not necessarily needs to be a community you join. It might be maybe you got close friends or maybe you got close relatives that that you can sort of lean into and ask those questions and be very curious about how they've done something and why they did something and what would it look like if you did that thing or you made the one change that you need to change that then catapults you to the next level. And curiosity is a very good way of doing that. And the next part of it is if you find somebody that is willing to answer questions and give a level of advice, then the next stage is to sort of implement what advice they give you. And what that does is that honors the time that they gave you. People are busy, and people, they've got personal lives, they've got professional lives, they've got dreams and aspirations that they're working on, and they're balancing as many things as they possibly can to sort of keep everything moving forward. And so if they take the time and the energy to pause and engage with you, to answer questions that you give them, and as long as you ask those questions in a very polite and respectful way, you can ask most anything and you'll probably get an answer. But if you ask for advice on how they did something or what they did to get to the level where you want to be, and they give you those answers, and then if you go away and you don't do anything with it, and let's say you engage with them again in 6 months and you start asking questions again, a lot of people in their position are going to start asking, well, did you do what I suggested 6 months ago? You asked pretty much the same question, and where are you at on that? And if you come back with hey, I didn't do anything with it, they probably will shut you down. It happened to me. I asked a member of the group some very early on some real estate questions. He gave me some advice. I really didn't understand what he was talking about, but he did give me some advice. And it was probably 2 or 3 months later that I re-engaged with him and sort of started asking questions. And he asked me flat out, did I do anything with what he gave me? And when I answered no, he shut me down. And it was a great lesson for me to realize that the value that people have in their time, the value that they see in engaging with you, it's a two-way street. You may ask questions and use curiosity to sort of present those questions, but if you then you know take their advice and do nothing with it, it's actually relatively insulting. And it will quickly become that people that are in those positions won't be willing to answer those questions because they're not giving the advice for any other benefit but you. There is no benefit in the advancement of their situation to answer your questions, other than the fact that most of those people are of the mindset of giving back anyways. So they don't find the time to be a burden. They don't find it to be a waste. They typically like to help, and if somebody's successful and they're successful in what they're doing, they most of the time love talking about it. They love, talking to somebody about how they did it, or what it took. And if you then implement what they information they gave you, then they're more likely to then assist again. And that relationship can become pretty well fostered if you're approaching the situation with curiosity. Then it comes across as you are genuinely interested in what they have to say, and then implementing those things shows that you moved forward, and the next conversation is worthwhile to both of you. So you know start asking questions, start asking yourself those questions, start looking at your situation in a different light, and be curious about that. And I'd love to know your thoughts. Please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. And reach out if in any way that I can assist. And as always, until we talk again, live life like you mean it.